Hey, what's up? Kris Krohn here, and I'm with the legendary Dolph DeRoos. And today, Dolph has flown in town to help me evaluate this big building, this $50,000 project. Dude, it is amazing inside. It's a train wreck. It's a massive rehab. But Dolph, today we're going to be sharing with all of you how you could get the government to actually potentially pay for all of your rehab.
Right, because remember, the beauty of a building is not in its exterior, it's in the balance sheet, especially if you get other people to pay for the expenses.
One shot, now the future is yours. Go! I'm turning dreams into reality. Yeah, it's one shot, now the future is yours. Go!
Well, check it out. I'm here with Dolph. We're checking out this property right here. And I got a question for you.
Sure.
I know, Dolph, that when it comes to the game of real estate, that you're able to buy commercial, sometimes with no money down whatsoever, which was totally confusing to me until you explained it. I think there's a lot of people watching this that might be thinking, oh, commercial, that's probably a game for people with a lot of money. Is that necessarily true?
No, it's not true. I started off with no money, and I've made most of my money through commercial real estate. And Kris, not only is it possible that you can buy property with very little cash, sometimes when you do a transaction, you end up with money in your pocket that you didn't have before.
Yeah, well, and I got to tell you, Dolph, I think that people should totally check out your YouTube channel, all your social media, if they want to learn how to buy buildings like this for no money whatsoever. But you see, today is a different conversation.
Right.
You see, I already know up front that this building has problems. It needs a ton of rehab. And so I'm challenging your idea if you can do no money down real estate on a property like this that has a ton of real. Want to check it out?
Let's check it out.
All
Yes. So Kris, this is a massive building. It's about 50,000 feet, right?
Yeah, so you're close to 50,000 square feet on this one. And you know, there's a lot of problems with it. This low ceiling, I would want to rip all of it out to reveal the higher ceiling.
Right.
So it's got low studs. But then as we you're going to see a lot of problems here. Like if you look in here,
I mean, apart from the colors, look at it, blue and green.
The color's a little atrocious.
Pillars in the middle.
But it's cut up really funky, and it's also just dated, and it's really old. And this is a building that I might be willing to use for my own company, and we got standards.
Right.
Like there's no way we would move into this building without gutting everything.
Right, so maybe not all of the building needs to be renovated, but probably a good portion.
Think again, check this out. You see this floor?
Uh-huh.
I want you to just walk and see if you feel yourself getting taller and then tripping.
Oh my gosh.
It's bad, right?
It's bad.
No, but look down this hallway. Just look down that hallway. That's a little bit like Alice in Wonderland.
It is.
Like
it gets wonky and
it gets narrower and narrower.
This is going to take a lot of money to renovate.
And it looks a little bit like an asylum.
Like an insane asylum.
Yes. Yeah. So I mean, I've got problems with this building.
Right.
There's just a lot I don't like about it. I'll show you a couple more things. Given the top floor is actually in good condition, but the rest of it, I mean, look
a lot of work.
Look how weird this is. You walk in a door, but there's a door here, but there's a door there. You've got this furrowed out bizarrely. You know, you can feel the ground moving again.
Yeah, and it's wobbly here. It's crazy. All right, this needs a ton of work.
Yeah, so I mean, the fourth floor is fine.
Okay.
But there's probably 35,000 square feet that need to be completely gutted and renovated.
Right.
How much a foot do you think that's going to cost?
I think we're looking anywhere from $60 to $80 a foot to really do this well.
Okay, so 70 a foot on that much square feet. We're talking $2.3, $2.5 million.
Correct.
And that's if we're like in budget,
Right.
which isn't happening very much in the real estate game right now.
Right.
You know, so let me challenge you for just a moment. $2.5 million. Let's just say that I could negotiate using your tactics to get this building for free.
Okay.
I still have the $2.5 million of rehab. Who's paying for that?
Well, it's not necessarily you. There are ways to organize things so that you can either borrow that money or through other allowances it effectively doesn't cost you anything.
Now, truth is, I'm messing with my friend here a little bit because you might have seen me on Dolph's channel or Dolph's been on mine. Dolph has been a great mentor to me in the game of commercial. What I want you to understand is Dolph and I are aware that there's a way that you could actually have someone else pay for this rehab. And guess what? It might be the government.
So Kris, if you're buying a building that you're going to rent out to bona fide tenants, then yes, banks generally lend 50, maybe 60% of the purchase price. It's called the LTV, the loan to value ratio. But there's an institution run by the government known as the SBA, the Small Business Association, I think it is. We all refer to it as SBA. I don't even know what it stands for exactly. If you occupy at least 51% of the building, then they will advance you 90% of the purchase price.
Yeah, and there's a cap on that. Basically, the SBA says, doesn't matter how many projects you do, we will lend you up to $5 million. That's kind of the cap.
Right.
So when you take a look at that 90%, it's like, okay, so you only need to bring 10% down. They'll basically cover the remainder, and that doesn't cover all the rehab, but now we're like, okay, so let's just say that my down payment on this building required $600,000, and let's say that I wrapped in $2.5 million of closing costs. Now I might need $850,000. That would be 10% of the $8.5 million total. And so even $850,000 still is an amount of money that someone needs to pay. So how do you get around that one?
Well, that's when you take all these tax deductions into account that you can get in the first year. You get a full year's worth of deduction even if you're occupied in the last month.
So I want you to think about that for just a moment. Let's just say for a moment, so in my situation, I pay millions of dollars in taxes. If I buy this building, in the first year, I'm going to be able to write off and depreciate at least $1 million, probably closer to $2 million on this building, maybe $3 million. So I could say, well, I got to come out of pocket $850,000, but then I'll recoup it from what I don't have to pay in taxes. That would be one way. But I'm talking about a true no money down out of pocket. If the government's going to put up 90% of the money because I'm going to occupy 51% of this, let's talk about the fact that there's a healthy six-figure cash flow and that I could borrow that money and I could use some of that cash flow to pay the lender on a second.
That's so true.
How would that work?
Well, it's the way it works in any deal. The more you borrow, the better off you are. You don't want to put cash in. Even if you had $8 million to take this building down and do the rehab, I wouldn't recommend you deploy the $8 million in this.
Yeah.
Keep it for other things.
So it turns out my situation, Dolph, I actually have a buddy of mine, I'll call him a buddy, that loves to give me money for deals. Because
that's a great kind of buddy.
Over the last 15 years, I've sent this buddy a lot of money. Right. So every time I say there's a deal, they don't even ask what is it, or they're just like, how much do you need?
Right.
So I just said, hey, I think I need $850,000 if I do this deal. They said, great, because I'm going to pay them, frankly, a straight 10%. Which, to them, they just love earning 10% on their money. For me, I can save $1 million right up front, but I also have. If you think about 10% on $850,000, that's $85,000 a year. But I have closer to $180,000 a year cash flow on this.
Coming in, rental income from the 49% that you may not occupy.
So I could even keep their loan long-term if I wanted.
Right.
I can actually service their $85,000 a year. And there's close to $100,000 a year left over for me in doing this building.
Right. And just a point of distinction for those people who don't have a buddy that can give them unlimited amounts of money at 10%, you don't need to have a buddy to get that. You can advertise. You can go onto the internet. You can put an advertisement in your local, whatever it's called, the regional newspaper for your community. You can ask your friends, you can talk about it, you can put it on social media. Hey, I've got a great deal, I'm short 850,000, whatever it is, I'm willing to offer 10%. You get a few people calling you with wacko comments saying, are you crazy, or is this for real, or is this a hoax? And you just need one person to say, oh my gosh, I've actually got 1.2 million I want to get out there. Have you got a use for it? I'd love to get 10% on that. So you don't need the personal buddy to do this. Remember, when I say you can get 100% financing, I'm not talking about from one bank. I'm just saying 100% of the purchase price is borrowed money. It doesn't matter where it comes from. SBA, a buddy, an advertisement, social media. As long as you get 100%, you're not putting any cash in.
So Dolph, what do you think? Should I do it?
Well, if this were the only building available, Kris, I think we could make it work. But quite frankly, I think you can do better than this.
Yeah, it looks like a pretty big project, and I'm a little bit worried about how much time it's going to soak in.
Right.
And honestly, right now, in this particular market, there are deals that are rent ready and ready to move in.
Exactly.
And there are projects like this where you don't know if a 6-month rehab turns into maybe a year-long rehab just because of how wild the market is.
And whether the 1.5 million required to do the rehab is going to be 2.5.
Either way, though, here's the commitment. When you do a deal, whether it's a small residential deal, whether it's a small commercial deal, whether it's a bigger commercial deal, whether it's a skyscraper, just understand, Dolph's right. There is always a way to have someone else put up the money. Don't allow your own finances and don't allow your own bank account to give you advice on the deals you can or can't do. Because at the end of the day, the money's out there, especially in a market like this.
It's called other people's money. Opium. I love being high on opium. Yes.
Listen, if you're not following Dolph DeRoos on his social media or on his YouTube channel, I want you to click the link below because there's an opportunity for you to easily find all of his channels, follow him, because let him be the mentor for you that he's been for me. Check it out. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I also hope that you enjoyed spending some time with Dolph DeRoos. He really is the master of commercial real estate. If you're watching this video because you need to get in the game of real estate, no matter how small with residential, no matter how big with commercial, I want you to think that there's an easier way to get in the game. Did you know that you can partner with me and Dolph and do deals with us? There's a link below that will give you all the information on how you partner with me, and we'll get you access to some of the best deals out there. We'll make it turnkey. We'll make it simple. Join us. And by the way, if you want to have Dolph share his #1 secret commercial hack with you on how to do any commercial deal the most intelligent way, you're going to want to watch this next video. Check it out. And today we are checking out this building, which I think is a rehab train wreck.
Sorry, let me stop you. Let's do it again. Dolph, will you walk it in the shade instead of out into the sun?
Okay.
Yeah, you kind of disappeared into the sun.
Like a green screen?
Yeah,
You both
it's like
kind of move this
headless.
way.
Yeah,
and
so
meet
Dolph,
up.
we're going to meet